Hello and welcome to a little project I have been working on because I'm still addicted to this goddamn game. Alright, let me show you what I did. So I did this a few years ago already, or during level 55 I think, where I used Excel to create a character simulation tool where you can simulate your stats and kind of just change around your items without doing it in-game, or testing out sets and how they affect your stats without even having the specific items, for example. So I did this in Excel, in some OpenOffice free version of Excel, so everyone who tries that out should be able to use it properly. I'm still not done yet, that's why I'm just teasing it a little bit and want to show you the features and how it works. So yes, let's start. Of course we have our stat window here on the top left, where you can see all your in-game stats like it should look in-game, mostly of course. On the top left you can change your class, and here you have your level selection. So your normal stats are these, which you can see in the character window here, and these are, for example, the bloodshed stats, which are not really affected now because it mostly affects, or only affects, the percentages here. If you look at that, these are the chance against level 145 opponents, for example. This is what this is for, so most of the time you will only be using the level 145. You have your wisdom tree here. This is for pet effects. This should be empty. You can choose whatever pet effect you want. It's pretty general, so even if new pets come out, this should also be compatible. For example, if I have my Birach pet here, for example, here this with 27.5% damage, you can just go here, go for damage, and just type in this 27.5 damage, just for example, and you can see the damage already changes accordingly. You have your wisdom, for example. These are just a wisdom points that actually really affect the stats, so the left side and these bottom two wisdom trees, I'm sorry. So for example, you just type in here 80 points into crit, and there you have your 67,600 crit, which would be equal to 17%, which is accurate. I can show you the example I prepared for my character after that. Yes, your pet bag is just the effect you have for collecting pets. This is the collector's bag effect. Then you can input percentage values. I haven't found a better way to implement that. These are just like, for example, you have in your Dragon set the 7.5% damage, or you have Brigavik boots with 10% crit rate, so you would put that in here. For example, get here critical, type, why is it not working? Type in, alright, type in a 10 and have your 10% critical. We can undo that now. Did this actually not affect anything? Oh yes it did. I just didn't look at it right. Alright. These are your runes. Every important rune, no regeneration runes. Solstice rune is here, the winter gem. Mostly all of them are just 32.5%. These are the jewels. This is the one hand or two hand jewel. The two hand jewel, for example, gives 10% damage, which doesn't affect anything because you don't have a weapon equipped right now in this simulator. This is the damage and health and armor jewel you can equip. So now we go to the important part. These are your items. Every 13 of them you could equip. Just a little example. You go here to your necklace. For example, you have your Destructor amulet here with damage, crit, and health points. And then you have an orange value of damage and fire resistance. I don't know what it's called, fire res. Then you just type in the number, for example 1628 0.9923. So now you can already see there is this missing. You have your normal values which you will input only, and then you have your orange and green values. This will be a little bit more clear if I go for the blue value, which is obviously the blue enchantments you can equip to it. Let's say we have like those 47.477% damage on this item, or whatever that is, and then down here you can have your gems. We have like, let's say we have 2000 ruby damage. And now the picture's getting a little bit more clear. So we have those red total numbers, which mean depending on where it's standing here next to the damage number, it means this item has a total of 5351 damage on this item, including this one, the rubies, and all base damage. If I put here 1000 in again, it does not interesting. I have to take a look at that. It should work. So it just shows you the total number of damage. I don't know why this is not working right now. Okay, whatever. And the green number is that what you can see when you hold your mouse over your item. There you can see at the blue enchantments those plus 3200, which just tell you how much the single enchantment increases the damage. And I went a little bit further, inputted those red numbers, which means this item has a total of 6000 damage now, for example. Of course, also with the critical, if I put 2000 here, it's obviously 2000. If you do this for all your items and your everything, then we go down to the set boni. So these are just for normal values, which I don't have here right now. But for example, you have those Sargon set here with 4053 damage. This is where you would put that in here. Weapons and shield, of course. Now the interesting stuff. This is where you put in, for example, your elemental skill. For example, if I'm a mage, I have 10 points in ice skill. This is important because elemental skills, depending what your skill, change your resistance values. We can see this down here. We have our absolute and relative multipliers, like when you look at your character stat window. Go for example over damage, you have your absolute and relative multipliers. For example, if I have ice skill equipped with 10 points, we can see we have a minus 25 on poison, fire, and lightning. If I just unequip that real quick, we have nothing, of course, and plus 95% on ice. We can equip our essences, white, which gives us a plus 25 in total. You can always see it here listed as well. If we are mage, we can also skill our blood mage with 5 points, of course. And then we have those buffy things you get. For example, the belt of seal here gives you with 100 stacks damage and attack speed, which we can go here. We could just type in the 100, or I think we could also just type in just a random number. Yes, for example, we have 55 stacks, and it gives you 20% attack speed, 20% damage, and 10% attack speed. We have a mortar set with the 50 stacks where we lose. There's a double minus, interesting. 250% health. We have the healing jewel, which can increase our damage by 150% when we pick up a heal sphere. We have the battle anger effect. Those are the 100 stacks you can get by attacking monsters when you have 4.0 attack speed or more. We have the jewel of rage. Depends on which rarity you have, which gives us 25% attack speed and 30% critical on legendary. This is where you would activate those effects to just see how much does my character change while having it. Because, for example, the jewel of rage is quite important for the attack speed and crit in the high-end realm. This is just a calculation table. It just takes all those possible enchantments and collects them here, so it can be I don't know the English word for addition. So you can just calculate them together into this absolute number. These are the set bonus, the base bonus, which you have while choosing your class, and all of the wisdom bonus. For example, I put like 10 points in the health wisdom tree, and it shows up in here. Then we have all those total numbers here. As I said, it's almost complete, just those little bugs here which don't really affect stats. It's completely working. Interesting, where's this so much damage? Okay. Now let's take a look at our example, which is this one here, where I have where I did put in all my mage stats and items, and let's compare, for example. So we have 541,074.82 in the calculator, which is almost exactly the same. There's bound to be a discrepancy, of course, because those numbers, those three digits after the comma, are still not very accurate. It's still a rounded number in the end. For example, you see those damage number with 930 at the end. It's a rounded number, and because you don't see the complete and accurate number, there has to be a small, very small discrepancy. But if you look, we have 3.859 attack speed, almost the same. We have 397,000. Crit is completely the same. Let's look at the Bloodsheet crit. That the calculation is working. If we look here, we have on Bloodsheet 6.86% crit. Our calculation tool says exactly the same. Same with block value. We have here 34,400 and whatever, which is just 8.69, and it's exactly the same number. Let's look, for example, at the ice resistance with around 130,000, which is 71.76%, exactly the same, and on Bloodsheet 63.55%. Almost. I have to look at that. As I said, it's not perfect, but it's pretty damn close. Yes, that's all it is actually. Still working on it. Probably gonna release it on Google Docs or something so everybody can use this. Why do you need that? I don't know. I just use it to change some stuff around. For example, I want to try out a new item. A new set is coming out. For example, this spring set is back again. Try to look if is it valid, is it not valid, who knows. So I can just play around a bit without wasting a lot of resources and just having fun with it. For example, I don't have max gems, obviously. Here I have 4,000 ruby damage in this belt. How much damage would I have with, for example, 7,000 rubies in here? It's just fun. I don't know, working on the damage calculator too here, who knows what I'm gonna add. That's it. When it's finished, I will release it in the future. Stay excited or not, I don't really care.